Lost 45 by the Eurythmics at number 26 on my fantasy playlist. June 4th, 1984. Who's That Girl? Does anybody remember Who's That Girl? And you don't hear, that's a Eurythmics song you don't hear anymore here in the States. And please, please, I beg you, if you invite me to an 80s party, please don't play Sweet Dreams Are Made of This by the Eurythmics. That is one of the most, I don't want to hear it again. It is so overplayed. Uh, what's that other song they did that was real popular early 1984? I remembered it when I did the first take. I messed up the first take. Had a near perfect first take. Dadgummit. Here Comes the Rain again in 1984. That's been overplayed a little bit too. Every now and then here in the States you might get lucky and hear they're rocking one of their rocking records. What I Lied to You, which came out back in the summer of 1985, and the scintillating bombast of Missionary Man in 1986. One of the best songs he ever did. Never hear it on the radio stations here in the States. Never. That pisses me off. One of their best records. They could do Euro dance, they could do Euro pop, and they could rock. Dave Stewart and Annie Lennox. Annie Lennox can be astonishingly commercial for someone who's avant-garde, for someone who's willing to take risk. This video, it's replete with androgynous imagery. You got Annie Lennox. She's got that blonde look, that Dusty Springfield look, that 60s look, even sings a little bit at times. At times, when she hits those low notes, sounds a little like Dusty Springfield doing The Look of Love. A lounge singer just laid back in a darkened bar and you're listening to and then you got the male version of Annie Lennox. She dresses up as a male, a scruffy version of Elvis, and at the end of the video you got the one of the ultimate transgender busting where the male version of Annie Lennox, the Elvis, is kissing the Dusty Springfield or the female version of Annie Lennox. So it's just a brilliant, brilliant video and the guest stars. Oh God. I'll get into that in just a minute because that will give me an opportunity to introduce some old UK hits to the American audience. But that will come in just a minute. The album is called Touch, their third album. Here Comes the Rain Again was their first single. That was a big hit here in the here in the States. Who's That Girl did not do near as well here in the States, but went to number 3 in the UK, number 9 in Poland, number 2 in France. Now the all-star lineup. First off, you got Cheryl Baker and Jay Austen of Bucks Fizz. They appear in the video. You got Dave Stewart escorting and having affairs and partying with all these gorgeous women. Among them, Cheryl Baker and Jay Austen of Bucks Fizz. Kiki D makes an appearance. So did Hazel O'Connor. Hazel O'Connor, a British, well, I don't know if she's British, but I know she was real big in England back in the day, particularly in the early 80s. Eighth Day. You got to listen to Eighth Day. It is classic, what we call here in the States, New Wave. The Eighth Day went to number 5 in the UK, and think a cross between Gary Newman and Lady Gaga. Got that Metropolis, that 1920s movie, that Metropolis look. Very dynamic video and singer. Another song she did, Decadent Days, which went top 10, or D-Days, which went top 10 in England in 1981. And there's Kate Gardner. Kate Gardner of the group Hazy, I think it's pronounced Hazy Fantasy. Oh my God, I remember they had one very small, it wasn't even played here in the States, one very small record here in the States. Shiny Shiny went to number 73 in the States, but in England it went to number 16 and number 3 somewhere else. Maybe it was Germany. I got it scribbled down here. Well, Kate Garner of Hazy Fantasy. Hazy Fantasy, though, their biggest hit in England. Got to check out the video to it because it's animated, partially animated at least. John Wayne is a big leggy. Almost went top 10 in England back in 1982. Hazy Fantasy, Kate Gardner in the video of Who's That Girl. And then you may be thinking, well, there's all these pretty women in this video, but this woman that he's escorting is striking. Look at her. got that long brown hair. Wow, who is she? That's a he. Marilyn. Remember Marilyn back in the 80s, sort of a contemporary of sorts of Boy George, originally from Jamaica, but he grew up in England. Big fan of Marilyn Monroe. Changed to became Marilyn. I forgot his real name. He had a hit in England. He signed a record deal in England. It was called the song he came out with, "Calling Your Name," a great Euro dance record. Great dance track. That one went to number 5 in the UK in 1983 by Marilyn. And then there's 4 members of Bananaramas. Of course, you know about Bananarama. They had some hit records here in the States, even more successful in England. But anyway, there's your all-star cast right there in the video. And you could check out these videos that I mentioned on YouTube. They're still up on YouTube as of this date, June the 11th, 2019. So let's bring it on back to the Eurythmics. Lovely record by them. They had a lot of great Lost 45s. Who's That Girl? One of them at number 26 on my fantasy playlist, June 4th, 1984.